Welcome back to another episode of Real Chumps. We're chatting about movies, feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we kick off our month-long discussion on age-changing movies with the 2009 movie 17 Again, directed by Burr Steers and written by Jason Filardi, starring Zac Efron, Matthew Perry, Leslie Mann, and many more.
In this episode, we're going to discuss Matthew Perry's top-notch acting, Zac and Leslie Mann's palpable and fiery chemistry, and why this is a forgotten gem. But before we roll that intro, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
Join in on that conversation by following us on social at Real Chumps.
Roll that intro.
All right, Marcel, I have a question of the day.
Shoot.
What is, if you were going to have a moment from high school that you're going to relive or want to relive, what would it be?
I think from high school, what would it be? I would love to just go back to any of my jazz band times.
Okay.
Being in jazz. Well, I guess that was in junior high.
Yeah, because you quit in high school.
I did quit in high school. Okay, so I was in student council, and so junior year, right? You run for student council to be selected. Senior year, right? Whatever.
Yep.
And we did a whole movie. Did your school do this? So at the beginning of the year, when you introduce the new student council, and you do a big kickoff to the school year, whatever, our student council would host the assembly, and then it became somehow a tradition. At least every year that I was there, they would do a movie to and had a different theme every time.
Wait, okay, hold on. A movie to introduce the new people?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
no, we did not do that.
Okay, ours went full out. I can't remember. I know it lives somewhere out there, and I've tried to get my hands on it, but our movie was you had the school, the student body president and the vice president going out and trying. It was Ocean's 11 was kind of the theme. So we tried to go and find everyone for this big heist.
Okay.
And the heist or the job was to bring back school spirit or something like that. Okay. I can't remember. I don't remember it. But
don't lie to me, Marcel.
So that you had
totally to bring back school. Was it on a bottle of Axe?
I can't remember it. But you had the two. You had the Danny and the Danny Ocean, so to speak, and the Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was always snacking on something just like
yes.
Brad Pitt is in that movie, right? And they go out and they find the gang, and we all had our special quirks. I was part of a group of dude, you have to watch this. It's an amateur production, but it was so good.
Let me tell you, I wanted to ask you something else because I really wanted to do some sort of you know how in 17 Again, Ned has he's photoshopped photos.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna Photoshop your 17 Again on ridiculous scenarios and can you explain to me what happened here, Marcel? But I couldn't find anything from you because you are not on social. You're not on Facebook.
No, I'm not. So yeah, I think we started filming this, writing the script and filming this in July, so that it'd be ready for beginning of September when we would have the the assembly.
Okay.
So, and it was a whole thing, man. It was cool. I was part of my character was with three other guys. We're part of of a boy band, and the whole scene, our introduction starts with us singing Bye 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 by NSYNC. We're all dressed in leather pants.
In leather pants?
Oh yeah. And then our button ups are halfway buttoned, right?
Yeah.
And we lip sync the whole thing. We choreographed the whole thing because our VP was in dance, so she choreographed the whole thing. It was incredible.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, that sounds pretty sweet.
I would love those 2-3 months of us recording that movie. I'd go back and relive that.
Okay.
How about you?
So I'd probably go back and I'd probably do my senior year of band of marching band. Just because that was a really awesome time. We did Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really great trombone piece. Super great just show, super fun. I want to say we won state that year, but maybe that was my junior year. Honestly, I can't remember. But it was just a good time. I just would probably do that.
That's cool. I'll try to find this video.
You should,
and we'll put it up somewhere. Someone from that group of or student council should have it. If anyone from student council buddies of mine that's listening to this, if you have that, send it over to me
so I can hold it for blackmail.
No, dude, I'll proudly publish that on kidding. YouTube.
We should put it as like maybe I'll see if I can find something from my time. I don't know. High school was good, but not like it was all right.
It wasn't like Mike here who scoring all the games and everything.
It was just high school.
It was just high school. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad I asked this question though, because now I'm gonna wait for you to text me, bro. I found the video.
I need to find it. I know like back in like 2010, when I was on Facebook, I asked someone, I'm like, who has this video? And to the point where we would actually like make mass copies of this and sell it at the end of the year. Because people were like, yeah, like we want a copy of the 2007, my graduating class. Like the student bought the video and like we would sell it.
That's amazing, dude.
But the previous student bodies also did the same thing. That's how we introduced the year, and our student body was with a assembly, and then we would play this video in the assembly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember I remember junior year for running for, so I ran for student body, didn't make it the first round. They did the finals and they had like a televised kind of like debate thingy.
Okay.
And one of the girls, I'm not going to say her name, but, she just was like, every answer was go big or go home. And so for the rest, dude, bro,
big or
go big or go. She that's all she would say. She's like, basically every question was go big or go home. I'm gonna go big or go home. And we just ended up teasing her, but she won. She was one of the people that won for the the body.
Yeah.
And we just, to this day, every time I think about when I hear that phrase, I just think about that one
girl that would go big or would go home.
Exactly. And I was like, I guess that's one way to live life. And it's a pretty good life lesson, I guess.
That's funny. Good question. Okay, so as we've discussed, or we've shared, we're doing age-changing movies for this next month or so.
That's right.
You proposed this to me.
I did. I was actually like kind of joking, but as I talked about it, I was like, actually, this would be pretty fun.
Now that I know that you were joking, I would have shut this down because you probably saw my face when you suggested this. I was like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
You were like, sure, Danny, I'll go along with this because you do all the production.
You do all the work. I'm just here for fun, and I'm not gonna shut you down because then you'll shut down this whole podcast.
I wouldn't shut down the whole podcast. But I don't know. I just thought it would be a fun. I don't know if it was because we recently watched not Freaky Friday. The Olsen twins and not Olsen twins. Lindsay Lohan, and she plays a twin herself.
Oh, The Parent Trap.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
Great one.
But that's not a age changing.
No, but I think I was on that same sort of vibe of thinking about Freaky Friday and sent these like.
Oh,
age,
okay, sure.
I don't know. I was like, well, there's not. I'm like, I don't want to do Parent Trap. That feels okay, but like, not
what we want to do at this time.
Yeah, but I felt like, I mean, like once I started going through some of the ideas, like Big. Freaking,
sure.
I really enjoy Big. And then I was thinking about like 17 again, and I was like, oh, that's similar.
Yeah.
I can't remember what other ones we got on the list, but we got some pretty good options for this month, and I'm excited. And it's been a hot minute since I watched 17 again.
What's your relationship with this movie? How many times have you seen it? When did you watch it the first time?
So I don't think I probably did see this in theaters. I don't remember if I did or not. I don't like fully remember, but I kind of feel like I ended up going to see it theaters, probably with some group of friends. Because this came out in
2009.
In 2009, so the year before I graduated, I easily could have seen the perspective of like me and homies, like a specific group of friends that I had at the time, where we're like, oh, the girls wanted to go see Zac Efron,
of course,
and we're like, we'll go.
Yeah,
you know, Zac Efron was a hot commodity.
Yeah, he was. This is peak Zac Efron, right? Was this after High School Musical? But after which High School Musical? 2?
I believe it's the second one. We'll look it up in a sec. But I remember enjoying it. The cast that we got, Matthew Perry, he was in it, and I was like, oh, this is fun to see him for just the few intro and
the outro.
Yeah. Obviously you got Leslie Mann, and to me, I was like, this looks fun.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen it. This is probably my 4th time watching it.
Oh, okay. This is my 2nd time watching it.
Okay.
So this came out during my blip.
Okay, you're right.
And when I finally got around to it, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, like it's a fun movie. You should watch it." Blah blah blah. So I'm pretty sure I watched this like home alone in my parents' basement
when you were trying to.
When I was just like, whatever, like I'm catching up on movies. This is what I'm doing for the next 6 months. And so that's when I watched it, and I remember thinking, I'm like, yeah, that was fun. That was cute. That was cool. I think at that point, like there was so much hype over like the Justin Biebers and the Zac Efrons. Everyone's wearing, every guy's doing the helmet haircut, right? At this time in life, in the late
helmet haircut.
It looks like a helmet. Maybe I'm just jealous that I never had that hairstyle, but it just looks like you have a helmet of hair over you. The Biebs had it.
Yeah.
Zac had it.
Yeah.
I'm sure others had it.
I could never. I mean, right now the reason I'm wearing hats because like my hair is way too long around my ears, and I need a freaking haircut.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get a haircut in today. Yeah, that was very much the vibe for so many of our classmates.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, but I enjoyed it, and I hadn't revisited until now. And let me just tell you, this is a gem of a movie. Yeah.
Okay, let me just tell you, I've been holding this in, and I was like, there's so many. Like, okay, first, this is not a stat cast. We like review quite a few movies that were like this. I forgot how many people are in this movie. Okay, this movie is pretty bare bones. Most of the actors in here, like, it's basically Zac Efron,
Leslie Mann, obviously, and then Matthew Perry, which ended up being his last movie.
Oh, you're right.
Which, timely. He passed away just recently in October. So I'm glad that we're doing this. But yeah, like you said, he's barely in it. What would you say, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
Yeah, I'd probably say 20 minutes.
And Michelle Trachtenberg, who was at that time, what was she in? Gossip Girl? One of those shows that I don't watch.
Gossip Girl.
Yep. I specifically said I don't watch, right? I want everyone to know. Maybe I do watch it. No, I don't.
It's his guilty pleasure. Only on Thursdays.
So like it has like it has the cast that it needs, and like you said, it's very bare bones, but I think often, and maybe it's not that I think Zac Efron's a bad actor. I just don't ever think of him. He doesn't come top of mind as like, oh yeah, Zac Efron, one of the greats, right? Even though he is.
Okay, so this is I'm like when we get to a point when we start doing whatever season this is, where we start looking at more like, let's look at like several movies of an actor.
Yeah.
Zac Efron's going to be one of the people on the list.
Yes.
Because every time I go back to some movie or thing that he's done, I'm always pleasantly surprised of how much I enjoy it.
Of course, 100%. I think he has a range that gets missed, but for whatever reason, we don't talk enough about Zac Efron as like in the echelon of actors.
Part of it was, as our generation, we pictured him as like High School Musical,
Troy Bolton,
or
right?
yes, like he was Troy Bolton. He then kind of like that was his role. And I, even when I initially watched this movie, I still was thinking about Troy Bolton. And
Right, because he's playing basketball. He has his little dancing number at the beginning with the cheerleaders. And I was just like, they
milked it.
Yeah, they were like, this guy can dance and he's a basketball player. Let's milk this, right? So yeah,
No, and so like to me, but like as I've like seen other films of his, as well as like come back and revisit some of these things, I'm like, dang, he had so many. He's got such skill, and I think like I wish we could have more of him now. I know he's not doing films right now. I think I'm pretty sure.
I mean, he just did the Iron Claw, right? And he was.
You're right.
People, he deserved all the hype around that. He was great. And I haven't seen the Ricky Stenicki that came out on Amazon. Was it?
I see the trailer or the poster for that every time I go to Amazon because I'm watching a show called Deadlock, and I cannot bring myself to watch that movie.
I'm not watching it. I don't know why. But The Greatest Beer Run, I haven't seen it. I know a lot of people really enjoyed it as well. That's the thing. Like I think he's very selective on what he's doing. Good for him. I did watch that one episode of Down to Earth that's on Netflix. It's basically it almost has this like Anthony Bourdain. Yeah, Down to Earth with Zac Efron.
You're right.
Where he goes from like culture to culture and like trying to find like sustainable and like healthy ways to live and whatnot, right? It's actually like really fun. It's really good, and I need to keep watching it. I think he's at that point where he's an executive producer. He's very selective of what he's doing. Good for him.
He also like isn't he like vice president or something of Kodiak Cakes?
Oh yeah, that's right. He is. Yeah.
Look, Kodiak Cakes, if you want to be a sponsor of our show, we would not be opposed. I freaking feed my kids your pancakes every single morning, so not a sponsor, but we'd love to have you.
Seriously, we should. And then Zach can come on the show.
We would love that.
But here's the thing. Zach is phenomenal in this movie. And I forget, like, again, I've never said that he's a bad actor. I don't know for whatever reason, for me personally, I forget that he's so good.
I think it's because he became pretty selective shortly after. I mean, I think this is the stint where he was hot commodity. He did several films kind of like back to back and trying to, I think, kind of make himself into the mainstream and then wanting to branch out. But I think he had too much. I don't know. I'd have to do some deep diving and see a little bit more like what happened. But overall, like, dude, I love this movie. In fact, coming back to like my relationship with this movie, I probably quote this several times a year.
Really?
Without a doubt. Like, I'll be like, yeah, bedazzled with rhinestones.
So much Ed Hardy, dude. Oh, gross. When I see that scene, I'm just like, oh, I remember those days.
Dude, it's like nostalgia to the max on this film.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. For those of you who don't know, let's talk about quick the premise of this movie. So Mike is a almost 40-year-old individual who is very bitter and upset with how his life has turned out. He gets a second chance to be 17 again and try to relive his glory days and make different decisions to hopefully lead him to a happier life.
One thing is that he was a top-notch athlete who had a girlfriend, and she was gonna have a baby, so he decided to follow her, and that's why
marry her
and go from there.
Yeah,
great. Where do you want to start with this?
I want to talk about. I want to talk about what's his face, Mike, in 1989. Okay. And I love that the movie starts off with this. Right? They introduce us with for a couple of reasons. We're introduced to the characters. We're introduced to this beautiful, like, what a just stand up all around guy. Like, he has the nerdy friend who's his best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. He's there early shooting his free throws. And the coach says, "Hey, save that for the game." Oh, I'm just warming up. Like, this is an individual who goes above and beyond of what his role is as a basketball player, or even as a friend, right, to Ned. Like, he helps him back up. He makes sure he's on the camera, like in the photo. And to the point where when Scarlett tells him, "I'm pregnant," that he's willing to put aside his career, his college career, a scholarship, and go after his love, right? And to the point where, like, she says, "No, don't sacrifice your college career or scholarship for me." And he's like, "No, you are my future," right? So, like, immediately I fall in love with this guy. Like, I'm just like, I'm here for it, right? His little dance with the cheerleaders, I'm all for that. To then, like, see the drastic change of him as an adult. And I love that the movie takes time. Again, I think we've talked a lot about this in our superhero section.
Right.
But I love that the movie takes time to really introduce us as to who is Mike at this point in his life, as a teenager, as someone that's about to graduate, and as a basketball player, and as a friend, and as a boyfriend, right? Because it really then sets us up for what he is like as an adult.
Yeah. I was actually, they have this opening sequence and I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, they opened up with this whole, like, in 19, and it felt slightly Disney.
Okay. It's the dancing.
No, it's the moment after he is told that we don't hear that she tells him he's pregnant. She's pregnant. He just has, we're like far away. It's on a 50 to 75, 80 maybe. And then he kind of comes out and we get, like, the color washes out. We get, he's distressed. He's trying to figure out what to do. I mean, we've gotten all this little moments of him, to get a small glimpse of, like, who the kid's character is, like you said, which I kind of forgot about. And I was like, and rewatching this, especially coming out of the superhero movies, having the same sort of, like, MO of, like, okay, we need to capture and convey some kind of connection to our character in some fashion. And we want to do that in the first 20 minutes because that helps provide empathy or connection or understanding of, like, who this individual is. And then we cut to the juxtaposition of him and his life. Yeah.
And it's such a drastic cut because we see him now at Ned's. He goes to work, right? But, like, I really love that interaction that we have with him and Scar, with Leslie Mann. And, like, here I am, like, it's funny because at first I love Mike, right? As a teenager. Then as an adult, you're like, oh man, what happened? Like, you'll get there, buddy, right? And then when he interacts with Scarlett, and he's like, yeah, I'm very unhappy with my life, and blames her. And I'm like, dude, you're a dick, right? Like, that's where I'm just like, perfect juxtaposition to, like, make me fall in love with this character. And then now see him as an adult, which happens, life happens, right? And he's not taking ownership on anything. He's the complete opposite now, right? Whereas before he would show up early and shoot 100 free throws. Now the guy won't even finish setting up a hammock, right? He's not going above and beyond. Whereas before he would take responsibility for everything. Now it's your fault that my life has ended up this way. And it puts me as a viewer, it puts me on this path to be like, I don't know if I like you. Like, you're kind of a dick.
Exactly. And I think that, like, I think this juxtaposition of this first, like, 40 minutes, not 40, it's like 35 minutes, really cues in the feeling, like, the confusion for our feelings for this character.
Mm-hmm.
It sets who he was, what he becomes, and the journey that we're going to follow on what he's going to do, which to me is it's like I don't think we do this much anymore. And I don't think it's because, and I don't think we need to like come back and like necessarily do this again. I think it's just a really good storytelling tool that I think I've learned, like seeing this in several films over the past several weeks, that I'm like I'm storing in my head to know, okay, how do I want to, like, I have a story, what do I need to do? Okay, let me write like an intro character scene, not, you know, and what can I do to subvert the expectation of what is going to come next? Even though we get that in the trailer, but you know, coming back and revisit a film like this, I just really just makes it better. Whereas like in some cases, I think they want to make the whole movie about the first 20 minutes, or we don't have enough information at the beginning for us to care, because we're holding the main characters, or like the poster boys or poster girls, in like they're the key. They're gonna carry it.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's such a great way to introduce our characters, to get the story going, because it all happens, like you said, in those 15-20 minutes. We see him young, we see him as an adult, we see him where he's at life, and the trajectory that we are going on as viewers. I love the introduction in this movie. So good.
This movie does a really good job of using characters at moments that they need, and that this is kind of really emphasizes, like, whereas now we kind of end up having too many stories sometimes coming into play. We have Mike O'Donnell, who 17 again, Zac Efron, but he's not going back in time. It's just he's 17 again, and he's dealing with his, like, trying to interact with and trying to, quote quote, relive the glory days, but then realize that maybe he's there to try to help his kids or whatever.
Yes. You know what I really love about this movie is that the movie quickly pivots into that. It doesn't drag into having Mike relive his glory days, being this awesome player. No, he's at school for like 5 minutes when he realizes, oh, my son is getting bullied, and my daughter's dating some douche, right? As he says,
a psychopath,
a psychopathic douche. And so like, and so he quickly decides, no, my spirit guide has put me here to help my kids. And I love that the movie does that. Like, I feel like another movie would have dragged this out of like being back young and like
trying to find the girl and like, you know what, I'm going to show her whatever, right?
Yeah. No, the movie quickly makes that decision and says, that's not what we're going to do anymore. We're doing this instead. And it's so fulfilling, and it's also fun, because then we get to see more interactions of him with his kids.
I will say, I kind of one gripe I have on this is, I felt like he was helping his son way more than he helped his daughter.
Yes.
Even though
I would be more concerned about my daughter. I would 100% be more concerned about my daughter dating a guy like that.
100%. Even though like the same guy is bullying his son, like his daughter's always sucking face in class. Also, this high school, what rules do they have? No rules.
No rules. That is true. I like that you brought that up, because at the end of the movie, let's jump to the end real quick. I wanted some kind of resolution between the kids, a little bit more between the kids and Mike as Matthew Perry, but more so between Mike and Maggie. I wanted more of a resolution between Mike and Maggie, and have some kind of, I don't know, interaction. Because the only time that they interact as Mike, older Mike, Matthew Perry Mike, and the kids, it's when they're in that ice cream shop, right?
Right.
So I kind of wanted...
It's very disconnected.
Yeah.
It re-emphasizes our understanding of like who he's become. He's become a dick.
Right.
Disengaged with his family.
Which we needed that, so I would have liked to have seen Matthew Perry Mike engaged with his children.
Agreed. So like that was like my biggest rate. Now, obviously, the reason why they didn't want to do that is because they wanted to bring in the whole like daughter being hyper clingy to whatever person who gives her attention, and bring that that her falling quote unquote falling for him, but it's just an obsession thing. And then the fact that like he ends up trying to kiss Scar at the balcony and it becoming a whole scene.
Oh, that scene. Okay. I'm ready to talk about probably the biggest highlight of this movie. Leslie Mann and Zac Efron.
Leslie Mann and Zac Efron.
Holy cow. That chemistry is just, there are times where I'm just like, whoa. It is so tangible.
I remember feeling the same way when I first watched it. And then I'm over here like, I'm an adult now. And I'm thinking, one, I have daughters. And for whatever reason, I'm like, this is why there's whatever happened in 2009 in this time period. What is going on? Is this like this? Is this where like because they make the joke line of MILFs.
Right. What does she say? Is this, I know what you're trying to do, cougar hunting, right? Moms that I'd like to, I'm not going to finish that. Right? Yeah.
The whole thing. And so like, I'm like sitting back here. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, is this just like that they want to make a joke on this movie, but they didn't want to do it raunchy? They wanted to capitalize on Zac Efron or whatever. But Leslie Mann and Zac Efron, sparks are flying.
Sparks are 100% flying, dude. To the point where like toward this second viewing, this last time I was watching it, I was like, I'm okay with Mike staying young again and like seeing these two date. Like I see it. I can see it. I was kind of cheering or rooting for them.
I was over here like, I need to take a cold shower.
It is incredible. And I think a lot of it, like Leslie Mann, obviously a well-adjusted actress, right? She's always great on screen.
Always great on. She slays every time she's on the screen.
Yeah. And to be able, and kudos to then to Zac to be able to really play off of her so perfectly. I was reading and Zac Efron talked a lot about how his ability to portray, not do a parody on Matthew Perry, but like oftentimes Matthew Perry was on set, right? And he would actually act out the line if he was him, and then Zac would then copy it as Mike as Matthew Perry, right?
Amazing. That's
really
awesome.
Great. That's awesome on Matthew Perry's side to like be on set when he didn't need to, and to like say like, here's how I would act out this role, right, or this part, and then for Zac to copy it. And then other times where like Zac would, Zac shared a story of like this one time where he called him. He wasn't on set. He was at a Christmas party or something, and then Matthew takes the time to like say, okay, read me the line. Okay, here's how I would deliver the line, and then he would try to like copy that.
I love it. I think I think that you sharing this anecdote really does reemphasize why Zac Efron nails so many different moments.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of the most emotional moments, this movie, Zac Efron delivers some really emotional scenes for being kind of like a quirky, age changing thing that feels like it's supposed to be a little bit more quirky.
Yeah.
But completely nails it. And I like can't get enough of it.
And Zac has said that he learned a lot about like comedic beats from Matthew Perry being on set, right? Which Matthew Perry, a legend as a comedian, right? What he did with Chandler and other roles in comedy is just, he is a master at like hitting his comedic beats, right? And Zach has talked a lot about how like he learned a lot about how to hit those beats in comedy from Matthew Perry, right? And so, which I think helped him a lot, because after this, he went off to go do Neighbors, right? The Baywatch movies, and where it's very comedic movies that require those comedic beats. And I think a lot, like, again, kudos to Matthew Perry for taking the time to like really take him under his wing and like showing him the ropes in that sense.
All right.
But I just want to go back to Leslie Mann and Zac Efron. Okay.
Do it.
Dude, that scene when he is helping her bring in the fertilizer or whatever it was from the car, right? and she mentions the whole cougar thing, right? And then she's like, oh no, this isn't going to happen. He's like, no, that's not at all what my intention was. But then he says quietly, but if you want to go there. And then I just love it. I wrote another one when the son makes it into the basketball team.
Yeah.
Right. And she hugs him. He comes and hugs her. And she says, oh, Mark, that's super inappropriate. And then he's just like, oh, right. And he just backs off. Like, I just love anytime Zac Efron and Leslie Mann are on screen. I am all for it.
Bro, she gets ready for the date, for dancing.
Yeah.
Okay. She's like doing the snake,
right? If you're not watching this,
I know we're doing the snake right now.
Yeah, we're doing the snake.
But Zac Efron is in the background. They hold on her. They don't cut to him. They hold on her, and we see him in the mirror, and she sees that he's there. She turns around, and then they move forward to have this moment. And they start, they're doing the whole dancing thing. I love, anyways, the son's there. He's like, do you always dance with your friends' moms? Yeah, always.
Yeah, always. Alex. But then right before that scene, though, like she's dancing, and then she says something along the lines like, oh, I'm not that good of a dancer. And then he just quietly, just seductively says, you look like you can dance. Like, it's so funny. I love it. I want a movie of these two nowadays.
Dude.
The Zac Efron and Leslie Mann. I'll write a script for this. Like,
write it, Marcel.
I'm here for it.
Write it, bro.
I want those two on screen again. I really do.
It was, I remember watching it and just thinking, this is okay? I mean, this is not okay. This is not okay, but like, this is good. Why do I want more of this?
And the first time I watched it, I don't think that stood out to me so much, but now, I don't know. Now I see it as an adult, I'm like, in her words, this is super inappropriate, but it is so funny. I don't know why.
I think part of it is the fact, here's what I think that they did such a good job on. What I think they nailed was that Zac Efron is playing the husband.
Yeah.
And he's not, like you said, he pivots in high school to try to help his kids and maybe help rekindle or help them throughout maybe not being as present. And then having moments where he because he's in the state that he was when he was his best self.
Yeah.
And not clouded by the day-to-day of the grind and of the struggles of being a father and a husband, that he once again sees why he's in love with Scar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for him to not only see that, but also be reminded of that and seeing her through those eyes of, to some degree, making him, like, forcing him into the, or not forcing, but like having him feel those moments and understanding of like, she is great. I don't want to lose her.
Yeah.
Even though, and I think Matthew Perry's not in it very much. Like we said, like maybe 12 minutes, but he sets a really amazing tone. He's a masterclass actor. He comes in, the board meeting for him not thinking he's gonna get a job.
Freaking Wendy.
Freaking Wendy. You know, oh yeah, I forgot. The other one I want is like, you know what we're gonna do? TGI Fridays.
Was this a thing in 2009? The hot place to go to?
No, it was a whole bit, dude. That was a whole product placement.
Yeah.
It was like a whole commercial thing of like TGI Fridays. Yeah,
It's good, and I love that you mentioned this because Matthew Perry does set that stage, right? And the fact, like I mentioned, like that he was on set and really helping Zach like figure out how Mike would react in this position as a younger self, and for Zach to then take that feedback and those cues and act it out. I think oftentimes when I watch these age-changing movies, right, the son becomes the dad, or becomes an older version, or a body swapped version of these movies. I don't see it, right? Most recently, I watched. There was one that came out last winter on Netflix with Jennifer Gardner and the girl from.
oh
She was in Wednesday. She was Wednesday's best friend. The
yeah,
little
yeah,
girl,
yeah,
and Ed Helms, and basically the parents switch bodies with the kids, right? There were times where I was like, I don't see the dad acting like that as a kid, or the kid acting like that as a dad, right? Whereas this movie, I believed it. I was like, yeah, that could be Matthew Perry Mike as a younger version doing that.
yeah.
And he sets the tone. Matthew Perry is just a master at his craft in comedy, setting the tone, and then and then again, obviously, kudos to Zach to be able to come in and say, "Here's how I'm going to portray this as Matthew Perry's Mike would."
Some of the other moments I really appreciated. Every single time Zach comes in to have his like hero moments. I'm thinking of the scene where he confronts the boyfriend with the basketball. Alludes to him having a small
wiener. We'll say it. Bleep it out.
Anyway, he loses having a small wiener, and then he like is unintelligent, and then what again? How the daughter didn't play a role?
Yeah,
later on in this, I don't understand. In any case, but also him talking about sexual abstinence.
Did you like that scene? Was it too cheesy, or was it fine for you?
It has ups and downs. I think that there's a moment at the beginning that feels too cheesy.
Okay,
and then it kind of it lands, and then I think we lose it.
I think it lands. It's cheesy, but it's the right amount of cheese for me. Look, as a father of two girls, right? If I was given the opportunity, if my daughter was doing that, and I had to go back and somehow and engage in that way, I think I would try to probably do the same thing, right? Yeah. You want to play it cool. You don't want to give yourself away, right? But like, I really like that in interaction, that scene.
I think that this could have easily been one of the scenes that like Zach was asking Matt.
Sure.
For, like advice.
And I think Zach does really well. I believe him when he talks about like holding his baby for the first time. And you don't know. It's these moments where I'm like, Zach is such a great actor, and we're not giving him enough credit. And obviously the court scene, we'll talk about that in a second. But like, it's these moments where he's talking about the baby and how precious and fragile, and like he gets teary eyed, right? And like everyone just all the girls then give back the condoms, right? Like it's just he's so good, and I would 100% believe that that's where he probably reached out to Matthew Perry on how he would deliver that.
Because like you said, like the courtroom scene's the next one I was thinking of. I mean, I think there's a couple other scenes that like are good. There's not as big grand gesture sort of feel, but him coming in, doing the courtroom scene, reading this letter.
Yeah.
And then, and again with Leslie Mann, like this scene feels so genuine.
Very genuine. And I love that I love that the decision to really have him like get emotional, right? To challenge Zach to get emotional. Prior to this, he gets emotional in like in the High School Musical movies. Not really,
yeah.
Right? But like this is where he was probably given the opportunity to like really dig into those acting chops, right? And show us that emotion. And he delivers those lines so perfectly. The pacing, the cutting back and forth with Leslie Mann and her reaction to this all, it adds the perfect tension, the perfect emotion, and just such a beautiful line at the end, right? But if I do love you, I guess I should let you move on,
Right.
so good, and it's perfectly delivered by Sack, which again I cannot praise Sack enough.
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to know, what gripes do you have with this movie?
My biggest gripes, like I said, I really wanted some kind of a resolution with Mike and Maggie, something better rather than just leaving off on. Well, she makes that comment like, "Oh, I thought he was hanging out with Alex to get to me, but turns out he was only trying to get to you, Mom." Right? I kind of wanted some resolution there. I keep
Can we talk about the resolution with the kids?
Go ahead. Let's do it.
I think that truly that's the missing mark that really, like you said earlier, that kind of solidifies it as like a top end movie. Because even though there's some moments where like he's helping Alex, he tries to go and he's helping Maggie throughout the whole film, and then it goes into a weird direction with the cat and like the tiger and huntress. I don't know.
Oh, you want to play games?
She completely delivers that.
Yeah.
But I think that we don't get enough of her for it to like we just see her as this like kind of secluded, like almost, I think of Violet, like she's like hiding herself.
Oh, from The Incredibles.
From The Incredibles. Yeah. But in, she's got a boyfriend that's not good for her anyways. But having that blow up and then not having any sort of like real resolution, not only that with that, but with him being a coach and having his son be on the team, again, could have been a really nice like moment just at the gym and him sharing, like recommitting to not only to like after recommitting to Scar, but then recommitting to those kids to like, I'm here, I'm going to be here for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because again, going back to that, the sex ed scene, right? He talks so precious and beautifully about his daughter, right? His firstborn, the daughter that made him, the child that made him want to leave it all, right? And become a dad and give up his college career, etc. And I would have loved to just have had that opportunity for him to like re-own that love. Not that he never loved his kids, but like
right.
That demonstration that he is going to be there, that he's a changed man, and I will always be here to support you, blah blah blah. I keep debating between the idea if I would have wanted the kids to find out that he was Mark the whole time. I'm not sure that I have to like flesh that out. That would probably add like another 20 minutes to this hour, 40-minute long movie.
Yeah.
But I almost wonder, I love the scenes with Ned and the principal. I do. But I think a lot of that took up time for us to spend with the daughter.
Ah, okay. I see what you're saying.
I almost wonder if I could go back and rewrite this movie, I would do less of the principal and Ned, and then add more opportunities to spend with Maggie. Because
we could easily get Ned and the principal in less scenes and still get the same outcome.
Yep. Yeah.
I would love to see this movie redone. I don't think it would. I mean, it could really work with some new cast members that we don't know.
I don't know that you'll capture that Leslie Mann and Zac Efron chemistry, dude. This is what I love about this movie. I cannot express how much I love those two on screen. My notes literally say, I want more of these two on screen.
Facts. You're probably right. Okay. What are the gripe you have?
Honestly, I think that's kind of it. This movie it's top notch for me. I would probably give this like a solid 8 now. Like I enjoyed this, and I'm gonna go out and say this. I don't. So we're planning on doing Big next week. Tom Hanks Big, okay, and then 13 going on 30. I don't think those are gonna be as good as this. I'm saying it. I've never seen 13 going on 30. Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Big, I watched maybe once when I was a kid, and I know the premise and the beats, but I haven't really sat down and seen it in like the last 25 years. So,
Bro, where are dude? I think it's gonna be hard. I was actually, when I was watching this the same, actually had the same thought. I'm like, I actually don't know if Big is gonna be better than this. And I think the level of it is because it's from a kid to an adult rather than adult to a kid.
right.
And Zac Efron and Leslie Mann's chemistry and like the overall like messaging of the love and wanting to rekindle that love and like not making different choices because that love was real. Just, I don't know if it will win out. Or with, even though Tom Hanks does an amazing job as Big,
Right.
and the whole and whatnot, I think there's just deeper connections that we find. 13 going on 30 also is similar to Big.
Yeah, because it's the 13-year-old becoming 30,
Right. And so it'll be interesting to see how the two stack up.
But all I'm saying is I want them on screen again.
It'd be awesome to see them back on screen.
Yeah. Leslie Mann is great. Every time she's on screen, she's always fun. And
Still a smoke show.
she still looks the same.
I know.
Yeah. First time I saw her was in Big Daddy. Big Daddy?
Yes.
Yeah. Big Daddy with Adam Sandler. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah. What's your favorite scene?
I mean, I don't have a favorite scene. I just love the movie. If I were gonna pick a scene, it would have to be the courtroom scene.
Okay. Yeah. It's beautiful, wonderful monologue, perfect delivery. Yeah. For me, it's the dancing scene.
I was a little debated with that one.
Again, they're on screen together. And just the way that he catches her dancing, doing the snake, and then puts the song that they danced to on their wedding day. And she's trying to teach him to dance, and he just
Sweeps her off.
whips her off, right? And just doing the dancing. But I love also the body, the choreography, but like he keeps wanting to like put his hand lower, and she just casually, she never brings it up. They never say anything, but I love how the camera just tracks that movement.
Yeah.
He tries to move his hand down, and she just slowly brings it up as they're talking. He does it 3 times, right? And she never says anything. She just keeps slowly bringing it up. It's just little comedic beats like that I think are just, that make that scene so funny, but also obviously like the chemistry as they're talking. And he asks that question like, will you and Mike ever get back together? And she just says, no, like, I don't think it's going to happen.
Right.
And that realization for him. And then for it to end with her going on a date, like double whammy for him. Like this is where he's realizing, oh, maybe they really have moved. She at least has moved on without me.
And that like, he was holding her back and he had something great and he just could not see past some of the small hard things that they were dealing with.
These resentments that made no sense. Yeah.
Dude, I was pumped for this movie when I brought it up, and I knew you were like hesitant. But
it's a gem. It's a wonderful movie. I think even like reading behind the scenes of like how Matthew Perry has helped Zach in this movie, and now that he's passed, like it's a shame. And this also being his last movie, so it's just kind of like I treasure and cherish this movie more so now than the first time I watched it.
The fact that this was Matthew Perry's last movie is a shame.
Yeah.
The fact that this man did not get other projects, or maybe he didn't want to.
Or maybe he didn't want to. Yeah, that's what I imagine.
Yeah. In any case, and he was dealing with a lot of mental health and some struggles, that he was facing. I just makes me cherish what we have of him on screen. And like when he passed away, so many people were like, he will be so missed because of who he was as an actor and a performer and a person in the industry.
You know what movie we should watch or we should do? Fools Rush In. I don't know if you've ever seen this.
I have seen this. It's been many years since I've seen this, but I have. With
him and Salma Hayek, right? And he marries a Mexican, and then like that whole culture shock and everything.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie from what I remember. It's been a while. But yeah, no, it is a shame that this was his last. We didn't get to see more of him. Obviously, he did TV after he had done 17 again. He did other TV spots, but but a great movie for him for it to be his last one.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and would love it if you could subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a review. It helps us get discovered.
More importantly, we want to hear from you. What do you think of 17 again? Do you have a weird fetish because of it? Do you love the chemistry that they have on screen? Because I do. We want to hear from you. You can always email us at your@realchums.com or connect with us on socials at realchums. You can also follow me on Twitter at Marstrosity, MARCTROSITY.
And I'm at Rubio_TV. Join us next week as we watch Big with Tom Hanks.
Let's see how this goes. I'm excited.
See you in the next one.
Later.